Hey, Jay and the Sticks. We're just getting settled in here, man. I just got done working. I'm gonna take a little breather here real quick, let everybody get into the chat, and we're gonna settle in and talk before we start building this evening. So if you could please share this out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, let everybody know that we're live streaming right now. Got a few minutes to get into the chat while I settle in here, get together what we're going to be doing tonight, and then it's going to be a long stream tonight. We got plenty of battery power. We got our lights out here. We got a few things to talk about. Quite a bit to do. So we're in it for a long haul tonight. So anybody showing in later, or anybody that wants to come back later, more than welcome to come in and out as you see fit. We just want to get as many people in here to experience this kind of thing as we can. So sharing it is important. Also hitting that thumbs up helps out a lot too. So I'm going to get settled in here real quick. Hey Rich, glad you could make it. Yeah, I gotta get settled in here. I gotta grab some things out of my pack and we'll move over there. And before we start building, we'll have a sit down and hang out. So let me get some things together here and I'll be right with you guys. Let's move on over here, guys. I just got done processing some wood. And I gotta tell you what, man, this shit, look at this. This shit was a pain in the ass to cut through. Just those two beams, but the diameter is huge and it's really hard seasoned wood. It took me almost 45 minutes just to cut those two damn pieces. They're so fucking hard. So what we got going on here tonight, here's our accent wall that we put together yesterday. It's still drying. Hey Jefferson, glad you could make it. So that's setting up pretty nice. No cracks or anything in it yet. We still will need to put another layer on that when it does start drying up. But it was really humid out here today, so I didn't expect too much more than what we got there, and it's better that it cures slow. Stone floor on the inside there is always leveling out. It's actually looking pretty good, but it's a bit messy because of all the work that we've been doing to the roof. We're going to be making a broom to keep that swept off, so it looks a lot prettier than that. But yeah, I'm really happy with the inside floor. And what we're going to be doing, you see all that blue shale and the cracks there that we added in, we're actually going to be bringing that out here along the stone walls. We'll have some shale down, and then we're going to be framing right in front of our accent walls. We're going to be framing that in, bordering it in, and getting some fresh soil, getting all the weeds and everything out of it. And those are going to be herbs and vegetables growing on both sides of the structure. So we will be putting food plots in right here. Very small food plots, only about 4 foot long, maybe 2 foot deep, enough to keep the weeds under control and all blocked in. We'll be putting those in, and then we'll probably rig something up to keep the wildlife out of them. If we case them in chicken wire or whatever, I don't know yet. But we will be finishing this other accent wall today, and then we got these two heavy ass beams over here cut today that we'll be using as an offset door. So we can get our door on there, and then we know the length that we need to go from our post over to the doorway. The doorway is not going to be exactly centered on the shelter. It's going to be offset just a little bit, and to offset it, I just cut the two beams to different lengths. So all I have to do is match them up to the peak where they come out level with the peak. That's the offset of the door, and it's just chosen by the cut of the wood rather than a blueprint. So doing it that way, I don't know how it's going to look when it turns out, it'll be a surprise for me because I didn't blueprint it. I didn't plan it out. It's just going to be however the wood sets up there. Set you guys back here a little bit. Get everybody adjusted. I need to cool down. Like I said there at the beginning of the stream, I got out here and been doing a lot of work around the camp, and I got some wood processing done, some more stuff to go onto the top of the structure. Tonight we will be laying stone and putting in our door frame, but we are not in a rush tonight. We're going to be streaming for as long as we can stream. So the plan here is, as far as the stream goes, I'll run the iPhone battery down to about 20% before I hook it up to my portable charging bank, and then that charging bank is going to recharge the phone 4 different times. So every time it drops down to 0, the charging bank kicks in and takes over and recharges the phone. Almost within 10-15 minutes I get a full charge back on the iPhone. So we'll be gone for a while tonight. Like I said there, we got our lights out here. We'll probably be streaming until after dark. We're going to go for as long as our battery power holds out, unless something else comes up. Right now I just need to chill out for a minute, hang out with you guys, eating beef jerky. It's like my food of choice whenever I'm out here on a work day is beef jerky and trail mix. I really don't get more complicated than that on the food source until we go this route. Drinking in the woods. And we got building to do tonight, so we're going to get a good buzz going on here and then start building on our structure. Right here at the beginning of the stream, I will go ahead and put on record that I do not have any survival gear out here with me tonight. I have my tools for building with. I don't have a med kit. I don't have a little blankie. I don't have an inflatable bed pad. I don't have a little cushion to sit on so my ass don't get sore. I do not have a titanium canteen or a titanium cup with me today. I don't have any cup at all. Not even anything to boil water in unless I boiled it in my beer can. I do not have a Hidden Woodsman rucksack with me today. I got a Total Pack backpack that I can plug my iPhone in right there on the outside in the charging port, and it was given to me for free. I do have a hand-me-down flask that my grandpa gave me whenever I was still a teenager that still has bourbon in it from last night's stream. So if I run out of beer, I'll switch to bourbon. If I run out of bourbon, I'll have the old Huntsman style wine flask with me. So we got beer, we got bourbon, we got wine. I don't think we're gonna get dehydrated tonight. And everybody loves this little flask that I bring out with me just because it's leather and decanter with a cork top. It's very Final Fantasy, isn't it? So yeah, everybody loves that damn thing. I love it too. Custom made, hangs right on my belt. It's got a button right there where I can just pop it out. It's tempered glass, so it can take a lot of knocks, and it's not going to bust on me or anything like that. Plus, I can do a lot with this container that I couldn't do with, like, you know, months rent spent on a titanium canteen. So we have alcohol, we have meat, we have trail mix, we have building materials ready to go. The clay pit's already back there mixed up and ready to go to put on this secondary accent wall that we got over here. And I brought up plenty of clay to keep going with this side. So we'll have that done. That'll take about a half an hour of the stream, just laying the stone. All the stones up here, the clay's mixed. It's just putting it up, getting messy, and making a mud pie. We have a lot more time to hang out and chill and maybe explore a little bit. I do want to show you guys something. And I don't know. Excellent. Everybody drink with Huntsman tonight. I do want to show you guys something before it gets too dark. I noticed this on the way in. And this is something that you might be able to use in your area as far as predicting weather that you can't actually see. And I can do it here at my camp because my bushcraft build sits at the fork of 2 tributaries. One of the tributaries is flowing directly from the west. One of them is flowing from the south. Now I want to show you guys how the 2 tributaries that surround my camp help me predict the weather and if it's going to rain or not. So check this there on the hill. You got, okay, Rich, I gotta be working tomorrow morning too, so I'm kind of done the efforts here. Anyway, back to what I was saying. This area right here is where we harvest all the stone for our build up there on the hill. This is the tributary where most of that stone comes out of. And as you can see, the water right here is running crystal clear, right? Looks pretty, majestic even. We come right over here to the tributary flowing from the south, which is the main creek flowing through the area. And the waters are muddy. You see that? So we got muddy water over there. We got clear water over there. And was just buffering there for a second. I do apologize. That won't happen again. So what's happening here at the camp? Are we still streaming okay? What's happening here at the camp is I got clear water flowing to the camp from the west, and I got muddy water flowing into the camp from the south. So it is raining south of me somewhere, and all that runoff is causing things to muddy up. So predicting the weather, at least the local weather conditions, somewhere to the south I know it's raining, just because the tributary flowing from the south got muddy. It didn't raise up too much, and it didn't the flow hasn't increased all that much from what it normally does. Thank you, Rich. But it's carrying sediment down with it, so that sediment is running off from somewhere. So somewhere, probably a good distance to the south of us, it's raining, and the sediment is getting into the creek and flowing down here. Good morning. All the way from Australia. Holy shit. The other side of the world. Literally. My best friend lives in Australia. She lives in Queensland. And her and I have been best friends for the better part of 20 years now. Oh, you're in Queensland too? It's a small world, ain't it? Yep. Megan McLean, my best friend. She shows up here in the chats every once in a while. I got beer. Why? So like I said there at the AC, and like I said there at the beginning of the stream, I'm just kind of chilling out here for a second, because I was processing wood right before I started live streaming, and it was a pain in the ass. Like, because when I'm processing all the wood for this build with, there's just a cheap saw, a cheap folding saw, and I don't even know where the hell I put it. See, that's where I'm at right now. I need to make sure I keep my shit together while we're doing this. There it is. This is the saw that I use, that I'm using for this build. This is the saw that I used for the Wiki Up build off in the other woods, which is still standing. So I got me an El Cheapo folding saw that I do this project with. And it cuts really good. I mean, it's cutting through red oak. Obviously, it takes time to cut through seasoned red oak. And that's just me being picky. I've cut every piece of the wood on this structure with this El Cheapo saw, and it hasn't failed me yet. I did have to tighten up the bolt there a little bit, you know, just because of wear and tear and normal maintenance on your shit. But yeah, I don't go out and buy no expensive ass saw or anything like that. All of my gear is either handed down to me or it's discount shit. Or honestly, my channel is big enough where I get, you know, Amazon store saying, hey, test our shit out, and I get free gear. But I don't make no money off of it. They don't give me a commission for sales, but I'm all about coming out and beating the shit out of some gear to see if it holds up. And for those of you who've been around a while, you know that if the gear does not hold up, I call their asses out on it. So it's a bit risky having me as a business partner, because if you offer me a piece of kit to bring out to the woods and test it out and that piece of kit fails, I'll tell people not to buy that junk shit. Because that's what a test is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be just out there promoting gear. They tell you to test it, go out there and test it, beat the shit out of it, see what this stuff can take, see what kind of weather conditions it can handle. The weather conditions where our piece of kit failed was, it was a lantern, and we went out in a polar vortex, and we were sitting in the woods live streaming during the vortex, when the front itself, the cold front, came through and hit, and the temperature instantly dropped. And within 15 minutes of that severe drop in temperature below zero, the lantern that I was streaming with started flickering. It couldn't handle the cold. It just killed it. So, yeah, it failed me during a polar vortex, and I told everybody not to buy the fucking lantern because it didn't work. It failed me when I needed it the most. Yep, Goodwill. We're all about cheap gear here. We're never going to promote expensive ass gear. The biggest deal that I got coming up, and I'm actually excited about, is the CEO of Indestructible Shoes got a hold of me, wanting me to do the Indestructible Shoes Challenge. So they got this pair of high tops, right? Rather than regular sneakers, they got this pair of high tops that they're wanting to kind of hybrid into a hiking boot. So I'm going to bring it out here in the conditions that I hike around in, and we're going to run it through the winter to see how Indestructible shoes hold up in my kind of terrain, on the rocks, on, you know, going in and out of the water all the time, climbing these cliffs, doing all the shit that we do out here on the series. We're going to be testing out a pair of Indestructible shoes on the series. We're actually going to have a stream where we, you know, are trying to beat the fuck out of some Indestructible shoes. The pair that they're sending me is camo, because, you know, old Huntsman's all about the camo gear. So I got a pair of camo shoes coming from them, and we're going to test those out. And then after we test out the camo shoes, I got a pair of high tops coming in. After I get the high tops done, then I get to pitch a design to them for Huntsman's the Huntsman Hiker. The Huntsman Hikers is going to be Indestructible shoes that I design, and it'll be their material, but it'll be with the tweaks that I pitched to them, or some of the tweaks that I pitched to them, as far as making them waterproof, making sure you have ankle support, and we want a hiker, not a pair of sneakers. So yeah, Rocky boots exclusively. Yeah. Yeah, there ought to be a better brand loyalty going around. I was always, growing up, I was always a Harley guy. I loved Harley boots. And Harley biker boots hold up through some shit. I mean, Harley boots can take a beating. I think my best pair of boots was a pair of Harley Davidsons. Yeah. So yeah, we got an Indestructible shoe challenge coming up. We're going to beat the shit out of them, and then we're going to design our own Indestructible shoe, the Huntsman Hiker. So we got that coming up. That's probably going to be next year by the time we get that project done. But it'll be fun, right? Trail mix, bourbon, and beer. So we got trail mix, bourbon, and beer going into my mouth right now. And we're also going to kick off with a honey bourbon backwood cigar. While we get started on the build part of tonight's fun and games, which we have a lot of time to do. I do love my honey bourbon backwood cigars. They came out with these, and I got me a pouch of them. I went to the carryout that I normally go to get me another pouch tonight, and they was all out of pouches. And I looked at the cashier and I said, well, what fucking redneck sumbitch is coming into my store stealing my cigars? She wouldn't give me a name, but she did say that she would give me another pouch in as soon as possible, and gave me 2 free singles for my pain and suffering. So we're gonna move over here to the build real quick. I'm gonna light up this cigar, and then we're gonna get muddy. I gotta get a basket full of clay around here, and basically what we're gonna be doing here for like the next half hour or so is building a wall just like that right there. So those who missed that build last night, you're going to get to see a repeat of the process right here on the other side of the structure. This is set up overnight. Like I said, very humid day out here. So, hey David, glad you can make it this time. This one's set up pretty good overnight, so it's nice and stable now. But it's got a lot of curing to do, and we still got to get the inside of the wall done. So while that's setting up, we're going to go over here to the other side and do the other accent wall. It took us about a half an hour to put that one up, so I'm figuring it's going to take about a half an hour to put the second one up. And then after we get this second access wall done, we're going to sit down and hang out for a little bit more. And then we'll start looking at our door frame. And as I was saying, for those who missed it, my door frame, I don't know where it's going to go on the shoulder. And the reason I don't know where it's going to go on the shoulder is because I purposely cut the two pieces of wood different lengths. I want the door offset. I don't want it completely centered. So the high one is going to go a little bit towards the peak, and the low one has to go a little bit over, so it's going to be just slightly offset. Just enough that you can tell. I don't want anything about this structure to be uniform, and I don't want anything about this structure to be normal. So we got this hybrid thing going on here with stone and clay, and we got a stone floor with shale cracks in it, and I mean, the amount of material that we're putting into this build is insane, and nothing about it is ordinary, which is what we wanted to do. I mean, how many bushcraft shelters have you seen with a fucking stone floor in it, let alone a stone floor that glows in the dark, which for those of you who hang out with me here after dark, you're going to get to see it light up a little bit. Yeah, backwoods honey bourbon cigar. Good shit. It's like candy. So yeah, I gotta go back there and I gotta get a basket full of clay. It'll only take me a second. I just gotta grab it out of the pit. It's already mixed up. Yeah, a bushcraft shelter with a nightlight. We actually have a chandelier in the shelter. Oh, and we have a chandelier in there. We turn the light on up at the bottom, and it reflects off the floor. You'll get to see that after dark tonight, or when it gets close to dark. When it starts getting dark inside the shelter, we turn the light on up top, and it lights it up pretty well in there. So yeah, we have a bushcraft chandelier up there that we're actually going to be replacing with a candle lantern type deal. So we don't have an electronic light source. We're actually going to have a candle out here. And it'll be like, you know, one of those fucking 30-day candles or some shit. It'll burn forever. I don't even want to use an oil lantern. I do have a couple of oil lanterns around the house, and they're good to use, especially during storms or, you know, just cold winter nights. I like having oil lanterns and candles lit all over my house in the wintertime. I do it in the summertime too, though. But I don't want a fuel-based light source, and I do not want an electric light source, so we're going to go with candles. The reason we're going with candles is because they can get wet, they can go through all kinds of weather conditions, and they just light right up. And of course you're going to run out of wax eventually, but it's just easier maintaining a candle out here. It can be left out here and nothing's going to happen to it. It's just a fucking candle. So yeah, we're going to have a candle chandelier, and we're going to make that up right here too. It's a candle chandelier to have in there. It'll actually have 4 different candles. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. The series is going really well. The channel's doing pretty good. We're actually scaring the shit out of some other channels. I do appreciate the super chats though. I love you guys. Heartfelt gratitude for those fun things. So I'm gonna get to work, because you guys came here to see me work and not just babble on. I mean, I do have some entertaining dialogue from what I've been told, but we do need to get some work done on the shelter before it gets dark, so I got to grab that clay back there. And then we're going to build this accent wall. It's going to take us about half an hour to get this wall up. I don't know if we're going to do it all in one shot, but it's whatever you guys are comfortable with. If I see that that number going down, people getting bored just seeing me lay stone, do not hesitate to leave the stream and come back later. We're going to be streaming for hours tonight. We got a lot of battery power here. The iPhone can go for about an hour before I need to plug it into the charger, and I got 4 more charges that I can go. So once I get a warning saying I'm getting low on power, we just plug it in and keep on streaming. We're going to stream for as long as our batteries hold out tonight. Whether it's building, hanging out, talking, getting you guys some feedbacks for more cigars. Thank you, sir. As soon as that little shit gets my cigars in there, I can't believe she sold my cigars to some other customer. Back here and thank you guys, thank you. Let me go back here and get that basket full of clay right quick. We'll come up here and we'll get dirty. Oh, once again, all we're going to be doing is repeating that process over there here for about the next, I don't know, however long we feel like stacking stone. We already got our footer down there. We laid the foundation stones last night, so we had a level surface to start stacking on before we started stacking. So I always do that, 2 or 3 levels, just to get a nice firm level surface. That way whenever you're putting your wall up, you got a sturdy foundation that you're building on rather than the bare ground, and you don't have to worry about it toppling over on you. So we'll try to get you guys a good angle here and just start stacking this damn stone while keeping my cigar lit, which is going to be a challenge. How's that look? Can't get much closer than that, I expect. Yeah, we'll leave you guys right there for a minute, and then whenever we get bored with that perspective, we'll just move the camera on over and take another look at things. So let me get to stacking here real quick. Fairly simple process. All we're doing is laying clay and stone just like stacking brick, except we do it a lot easier and a lot messier. And we want it to be messy. We want to have excess on the outside of the stone, because as rain comes in, it hits the surface and it takes that excess, and that excess kind of melts and it helps fill in the cracks. So it's a self-repairing wall, kind of. Alright. Let's get a wet layer on here. Real thin, because we already got clay on it. Just want it wet. And then we just start stacking stone. So my cigar's gonna get mud all over it. Everything's gonna get mud all over it. If y'all saw me last night whenever I got done with that other side, I got home a muddy fucking mess. I looked like an 8-year-old whose mom was about to yell at him for playing in a mud puddle. It was fun though. We had a good time on last night's stream while we were doing that other wall, but it was a short stream because I had date night with the wife. And let me tell you, damn it, that went well. Bachelor in Paradise date night with my wife. Ugh. Talk about losing your manhood. I could go on and on about that, but I ain't going to. It was very traumatizing, though. Mud and stone, guys, mud and stone. Repetitious process going up, but an easy process. And it makes an absolutely perfect supporting wall for your structure. Because these stones are going to be butted up against this beam, so all the weight on that beam is going to be supported by the stone walls, which helps. And then this is a secondary fire reflector, and we'll explain that in more detail here in a little bit when we go inside the build. Yep, see, I got a problem here. I need a bigger stone. I got to bridge that. So like I said, very repetitious process. Just like laying bricks, you lay a layer of clay, make sure all of your cracks in between your stones are packed in really tight. Make sure you got a good glue on each stone. It's going to wobble a little bit, but not too much, and then once this stuff hardens up, it ain't going to wobble at all. It does not have to be thick. Maybe 1/4 of an inch is enough to hold your stone walls together, depending on your clay mix. This stuff could have been ground up a little bit better, but it's not too bad. And I just happen to have the right mixture of sand and clay on that bank over there. I mean, it's perfectly mixed. I had a little bit of fibrous material to it, and we got concrete. It comes out of the bank of the creek fairly easily. I have to dig it out, but I'm getting more shale than I am blue shale clay. It's like blue clay than I am sand, which had me a little bit concerned because the blue part is the glue, the clay is the glue, the sand is what hardens up and makes it like rock hard. So you got to have a nice mix of the two. If you have too much of one and not the other, it don't work. The formula's off, and it'll crack on you, or it'll start to crumble like burnt cookie. Got to have the right mix, and I've never done this kind of thing until this build, but I have learned a lot through the process of mixing it up and experimenting with the formula to see what works and what doesn't. Everything out here is a learning process. There are no experts in the outdoors. I don't care what anybody says. If you think you know it all, you need to go back home. You might know a lot, but chances are Mother Nature doesn't care what you think you know. She'll mess with your head. And she's surely gonna check that ego. Our excess now starting to squeeze out as the weight increases, so I push a lot of that back into the cracks, scrape off some, throw it on the top, keep the process going. Waste not, want not on the clay, because it is a pain in the ass gathering all this stuff up and mixing it. This is not the easiest way to build a structure, let me tell you. It is the messiest though. We're actually doing pretty good on this wall. It's going up a little bit faster than the last one. But we ain't sticking around too much either. And our stones happen to be just a little bit thicker at times, which helps. I like using more flat stones than I do thick just because of the stability of it. I'd rather have a few more stones rather than height, just because it's more stable. Again, fitting the puzzle pieces together here. Our basket's holding up really well. We might get 2 more layers done before we have to go get another basket of clay. So we'll let this set up for a bit while we hang out, and before we go ahead and finish off the top section of it. That way we don't get too boring with the stream, just laying the clay all at one shot, and it's just boring to watch. I know it's boring to watch because I go back and watch these live streams when they're done. But we have the rule of all the building's done on the live stream, so this is part of that process. And we're going to talk about why I made the rule of I only build during a live stream here when we sit down. I'll tell you exactly why I wanted to capture all of this project on live streams rather than edited videos. There is a legitimate reason for that. That fits in there better like that. Puzzle pieces. That's what I'm working with now. Just puzzle pieces. You gotta find the right stone to fit the right angle. Just happens to be wide enough to fill in that gap. Sometimes I have to squeeze them in. Like that. And I want that tension on both sides. So we'll go ahead and pack this down. Run down to the creek and get washed up real quick before we start finishing off this last section, which is only going to take 1 more basket of clay, and we'll have excess stone. We do have to encase the whole outside though. We can't leave any gaps, cracks, anything like that. All the ledges have to be filled in, so we do have to go over the outside 1 more time. We do that with the remnants of the clay at the end of the stack. And all of the stone surfaces, even the surfaces of the stone, get covered up, and I'll explain that in better detail here in a second too. Just let me wrap this up right quick, get this last stack on, and then we can talk, and I can see what you guys are saying there in the live stream. I'm always apologizing for missing comments, and that's just because it seems rude. You guys are trying to interact with me, and I got my eyes turned away from you. But that's just the way the process, the filming and the building process goes. I hope you guys don't take that personal. If anything, just save your questions or anything like that until we do the sit down part. That way I don't miss it. Because I did see some questions on last night's stream that I completely missed just because I had my back turned to the camera. I wasn't watching that live chat, and I missed a comment, and I wasn't able to answer it just because I was focused on building rather than chatting at the time. And it made me feel bad. Like, I don't want to miss the interactions you guys have with me, because that's why we do it live. Just scraping out the remnants that are here still in the basket, throwing it on there. Again, every teaspoon of this shit is worth its weight in gold whenever you're building your structure out of stone and clay. Every piece matters. Otherwise, you just have to keep going and get more and more and more. And it's a lengthy process. Alright, that's done. Go ahead and smear this on. And I'll show you here right quick why I do that too. You notice that even the excess that was on my hands before I go to wash off, I smeared on the beam. Look at this over here. I don't know if you can tell, just because of the damn lighting. But the wood is a lot darker up here where it didn't have the clay, and then as you come down, it just starts glowing. I want that light surface. And it's a little bit of protection for the wood too. That's why I'm smearing the excess clay that's on my hands onto the beams. There you can see the difference. You see how this one beam over here is dark because it ain't coated yet, and that other beam is coated almost all the way up, and it gives it that nice bright feature to it. It's a little bit of weather protection, a little water protection. It hardens up really good on there, kind of makes a shell around the wood, but the big point is that it brightens it up. So I'm just going to get washed up here real quick. Quit looking at me. Gotta pay attention to the landscape too. This is what we're out here trying to enjoy. We're gonna start buffering here in a sec. Hope we didn't freeze up there. If I get away from the structure, I get away from the source of my streaming signal, which we're going to fix here in a minute. I'll make sure I have the booster pack on my hip and not laying up here at the build. That way we don't freeze up and have to restart the stream, which is possible, guys. There have been times when we were out here live streaming and things just did not cooperate with us by way of tech, and it started buffering so bad and lagging so bad we had to actually restart the stream, and it came out as a trilogy rather than a single video. Let's back up here a little bit and get some perspective. So there on that first sit down, we got a little bit over halfway up that wall. So yeah, she's looking pretty good. Not bad at all. I'm happy with the build so far. Very happy with it. Just turn things around here real quick. We might actually have to round up a couple of smaller stones, because whenever I get to the very peak, yesterday I had to actually take a stone and hit another stone, bust it up to make a small enough piece of stone to fit it right up there in that peak. And I hear a fucking ambulance or something running along there. I am not deep in the woods, guys. I want to go on record and say that for anybody that thinks that I'm just out in the middle of fucking nowhere, I'm not. About half a mile away from a road, but this happens to be private property, so I can do the build, and I don't have to worry about anybody coming in and messing with the build, because I wanted to invest a lot into this one. I didn't want anybody coming in and messing around on the land. I didn't want anybody messing with the whitetail whenever we start working with them and going on the shed hunt. I am on private land here. It's not a massive woods. It is a gorgeous woods though, so. Oh, that's good. I did get my first power warning there, so I'm gonna get you guys hooked up here right quick while we're talking. As far as the power bank goes, this is all that I use as far as my live streams. This power bank will charge 2 different phones or whatever electronics that you have up to 4 or 5 times, depending on what you're charging. So I do have this power bank with me, and then on top of that, this is a secondary power bank and a light, and it's also an SOS strobe. So it's got a magnetic top on it. It's got the hook This is the light that we hang up inside the Bushcraft shelter, and then it's got 2 ports. It's got import export mounts right there where you can plug in whatever. You can recharge the light off of this or whatever, and then you have the port on the other side that you can recharge your phone with. So we have 2 battery packs here, rechargeable battery packs here, the light and the actual battery pack. Megan, did I just see your name mentioned in the live stream? I mentioned you earlier in the stream. Power cables. Dixie, Dixie, Dixie. My favorite commentator. So we on battery power now. That iPhone's gonna charge here for a while we're streaming. I was talking about, while I was putting that first section of that accent wall up, I was talking about there's a reason that I wanted to do this entire project on a live stream. Now I did have to make some fine tuning to that plan, because whenever it comes to processing wood, gathering stone, harvesting the clay out of the the side, pulling stone out of the ground to build our stone floor with, bringing up all the materials, the building materials themselves, just gathering the materials up was a very time-consuming, and it's a continuously time-consuming and lengthy process. So I did make the exception, just for a viewer benefit, that I would do the prep work off camera. There we had our first technical difficulty for the evening. The Wi-Fi signal dropped off. I apologize, guys. Thanks for sticking with me there, though. Hopefully everybody comes back. As I was getting everything hooked up to keep streaming, the Wi-Fi signal cut out on me, and I had to restart the Wi-Fi signal. So we're back now. I apologize for that. What I was saying there before we were so rudely interrupted by NASA was the reason I wanted to do this live stream series was because I wanted to give the most realistic perspective possible on what goes into a bushcraft build. No, it's not froze on my end. My Wi-Fi signal cut out and I had to reconnect real quick, but we back up and running now. So as far as the build itself goes, I wanted to give everybody who watches the series, or everybody who comes around later, a realistic perspective of what goes into building this kind of structure. And in order to do that, the best way to capture the essence of that was to do it on live streams. Now, I can go on record and say I could put in a day's worth of work just processing wood, hauling stone, getting the gravel together, getting the shale together, all of the materials together to come up here and stream for a few hours. Hands on the structure is only a few hours, but 6 or 7 hours worth of gathering the material up from the forest went into that. So whenever you see guys out there doing mega builds, they don't do that shit overnight. They build and build and build for months, and they're filming for months before they finally release that video. Apologize. Try to refresh the page if you can hear me. So the most realistic way to put all of this into perspective was to do it during a live stream series. This live stream series have been going on for months now. We've been building this for months now. The reason it's taken so long, there's a lot of reasons to that it's taken so long. One, I have the day job, so that takes up a lot of my time. Keeping my wife happy. A couple months back, we got to the point in our relationship where we were ready to get divorced. And we went through about a month of, she was gone. She had packed up, moved out of the house, took the truck. I was walking to work. It was a whole thing. But yeah, my wife was gone. She just packed up and left. And I didn't blame her, really. It wasn't a violent breakup. We just weren't spending any time together. She was going left and I was going right. And we was like, maybe we should call it quits. So we spent some time apart, and then that wasn't working out. for either of us, really. I was getting blisters on my feet walking to work every fucking day, and she was miserable. I was miserable, so we decided to try again. We got back together, but whenever we got back together, yeah, yeah, there does, there is that. We'll talk about that in a second. Arguing with people during projects, that happens, and it happens in group efforts too. There's always going to be a hierarchy with humans. And there's always going to be somebody come along to challenge that hierarchy. Uh, so yeah, as far as doing all of this entire build on the live stream series, that was just to offer a realistic perspective of the time that it takes, the effort that it takes to going into these builds. We're putting up an accent wall right now. I mean, it ain't even a main wall. It's just that little triangle, and that's going to take us a half an hour of hands on the structure just to put that little triangle in, let alone the chimney, the fireplace, chinking all of the beams inside the shelter. This is a very time-consuming, back-breaking process, and this is the most realistic perspective that you can get of the process. We're only using a knife, a handsaw, and an axe to do this build, and very rarely do I use my axe. If I'm using my axe, it's to split firewood to fix my lunch. The rest of it's handsaw and a knife. We did use a machete to cut down some of the hogweed over there that we've been using as the fibrous material in our clay and the cellulose insulation for the beams themselves. So very simple, basic, and very cheap tools going into the project, but a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood, and a lot of very fucking sore nights whenever I get home from doing this kind of thing. And then this week, we went all out with, we're going to do a live stream every night, all week long for an entire week. So the live streams themselves take up time because I want to interact with you guys. I want to get your feedback. I want to get your thoughts. And I want you guys to enjoy the build and be entertained by the build, not just sit here watching a guy say fucking nothing except building. That's not very entertaining at all. There are some guys out there that are very successful. One more time, the stream was interrupted. So that time, that was Courtney who interrupted the stream that time. She tried calling me on Facebook Messenger while I'm out here live streaming, and it just caused my iPhone to go all haywire. I apologize for the interruption, guys. That's our second technical difficulty for the evening. But at least a few of you stuck around. Hopefully everybody will come back. God damn, that was annoying. She knows what I'm doing, too. Anyway, I don't even remember where we was at. The live stream. We're doing the live stream because it gives us the most realistic perspective of what's going on out here and what it takes to put this structure together. Plus we get some entertainment and interaction along with it. I get a lot of feedback, and the series has gone over really well. The series is actually gone over better than the Friday night episodes of the regular Huntsman series, where we tend to run off and do different things and cover different topics in the Friday night episode. This Friday night there will not be an episode of Huntsman, and that's just because we're live streaming all week long. We will be live streaming. Hey Jess, we will be live streaming Friday night or Friday afternoon. Because of the live streams happening all week long, there will not be a regular 1 hour episode of Huntsman this Friday night. We will pick up the 1 hour episodes next week. So, but we still have content coming out, so it's better. I think it's better, and the audience, you guys seem to like the live streams better than the regularly filmed, edited, and processed videos. So these are a lot more fun. For those who are supporting the channel, the super chats, I really appreciate that. Anybody who sends a super chat, anybody who sends me a PayPal support, you can see that link up on the channel homepage. Those folks who are in the live stream this week or are always in the comments of my videos, we have a stone here at the site. We're going to be pulling the stone out of the ground. We'll be bringing it up here, cleaning it all off, polishing it up, and everybody who supports the series will have their name carved in stone right here at my campsite. So that's one of the perks to and the thank yous that I'm giving back to everybody who come along with me on this journey into this new forest with this new build. Yep, That's true. Building a bushcraft shelter is a time-consuming and energy-consuming process. You burn up a lot of calories. In a survival situation, this is not a survival situation. This is a semi-permanent shelter. This is the kind of thing that you do after you have a shelter, emergency shelter already built. Yeah, you don't have especially in winter, you do not have daylight to be burning on a mega build. You're not trying to build a fucking house, you're trying to stay alive. So there is a difference. We're not building a bushcraft shelter here. We call it a bushcraft series just because it's trendy. But this really isn't bushcraft. What TA Outdoors, that's a mega channel. What he's doing right now ain't bushcraft. He was working on his Saxon house in a recent episode, and he went out and purchased grass to put on the roof of his shelter. I mean, he's going out buying materials to put on his structures or to build shelters with. He's not bushcrafting anymore. He's not a survival channel anymore. He's more of a woodworker. He likes to build houses, rustic looking houses. So he builds, a different fucking 2 or 3 builds a month. Or at least that's how he's cranking it out. He ain't building them that fucking fast though. He's been working on those projects for a long damn time and just hoarding all of that footage, and then he just pops it out whenever he gets it processed. But he has help too, and he's going out and buying material. He's not gathering it up from the woods anymore. So TA Outdoors has evolved from a bushcraft channel where you're going out and just harvesting from nature for your building materials to a guy who's actually going out and buying lumber and building structures. I mean, that's just the direction he decided to go. He does, still stick to his 20 minutes of wood processing at the beginning of every video, but he's buying his structures now. He ain't going out into the wilderness and trying to live off the land. Not like he used to, not like he was. He keeps trying to go bigger, 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 better, 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 and he's outgrowing himself. Eventually, TA Outdoors is going to shoot himself in the foot with the type of builds that he's making. Everybody's so impressed by him, and they're kissing his ass and sucking his dick for it. But how big can that guy go for a YouTube channel before he just runs out of fucking ideas? He's cranking out so many different types of shelters, and they're so massive and mega structure shelters, he can't keep that pace up. I don't give a fuck how much help he has from his aging daddy. He cannot keep that process up. That's not wilderness survival. It's not bushcraft. It's woodworking. And there's only so many designs you can do just before you just get tiring and old. It's impressive right now, but it's not going to be impressive for very fucking long. People are going to get burnt out on that kind of thing. People would get burnt out on this kind of thing, which is why we stopped halfway up that stone wall. It only takes a half an hour to put that point up, but it's boring just watching a guy sitting there packing mud and stone. You have to sit down and talk sometimes. And these live streams go on forever. Do you think anybody out there is going to sit down and watch the 3-hour live stream that we did night before last? Nope. They're going to be skipping through there. They'll skip through and hope they catch the highlights. Which is why I go back to live streams. I download the videos off of YouTube, and then I process them up and give folks highlights of what happened during that episode. Because nobody in their fucking right mind is going to sit there and watch a 3-hour show. They're just not going to do it. If they're in a live stream and they're interacting with me in the chat, that's one thing. If you guys are interacting with each other in the chat, that's one thing, because you have something to hold your attention. But once the live stream stops, there ain't nobody going to go back and watch a 3-hour episode on a YouTube channel. You're lucky if you can hold their attention for more than 3 minutes. I think average view time on YouTube is 3 minutes. So whenever you do a 3-hour show, you might get 6-minute average view time. And that's just because people are skipping through the video. They're skipping all of the boring parts, or they're trying to find the highlights. And, that's just the way that it works. What, skipping through a video? I skip through my own videos all the damn time. I skip around like I don't know where I'm going. Like, sometimes I'll skip ahead and I'll be like, no, I want to go back and see what I did there. And then I'll have to adjust because I remember what I did, but I have to find out where in the timeline that I did it at. And that's how I pull the highlights out. But I do sit down and watch my live streams, the entire live streams all the way, just because I want to catch up on your guys' comments. People who sent me a super chat tonight, I might have missed the highlight on that comment section right there where you sent me a super chat. And I apologize for that, but as your messages come up on my iPhone, it lasts for about 5 seconds and then it fades out. So if I don't see it right away, chances are I'm not going to see it until I get home and I rewatch the videos, and then I send out thank yous for those who send in super chats and things like that. So that's how that works. Or at least that's how I try to work. Yeah, I try not to be average. I don't want to be ordinary. I don't want to fit in with Joe Robinette and TA Outdoors or Survival Lily. I don't want to, and none of my content's ever been like theirs. I'm not PG-13. I'm not trying to sell you guys anything every fucking episode. None of my videos have ever, I've put out 500 fucking videos and none of them's ever been sponsored by Squarespace. I did not, and I will not design a knife that's made in Taiwan and try to sell it off as good steel. I don't care what's stamped on it. Yeah, I'm just not that guy. I come out here, I drink, I cuss, I smoke, and I build stuff. Don't get me started on Survival Lily. I can't even look at that woman, and I don't want to be rude. But she creeps me the fuck out. She looks like a goddamn alien. And she comes across like the fifth wave of feminism. I don't... she's got that... I'll bet you she's single. I'll bet you Survival Lily doesn't have a boyfriend. And if she does have a boyfriend, they do not spend a lot of time together. Because she is... You can tell by her personality, she is not the type of woman that gets along with a lot of people. If you're in a relationship with her, chances are your relationship is miserable. You can see it in her beady little eyes. Survival Lily is more of a man than Joe Robinette is. Anyway, like I said, we don't need to be rude. Drink, smoke, cuss, build stuff. You know, country stuff. This is me. Bourbon, cigars, beer, wine in a flask. Hanging out in the woods, having a good old time. This is me. I'm not gonna fake it to make it. Seem to be making it just fine. But I do have detractors, of course, you know, just because I'm not trying to fit in with that cookie cutter bushcraft channel. And I'm not trying to fit in with the beta male hashtags that are going around right now where everybody has to act like a little fucking girl or you might offend somebody. Including YouTube. YouTube will demonetize you for doing the shit that I do. Or at least that's what people claim. Even Pooja Studios, who I love and respect dearly, will tell you not to do the things that I do on my channel because YouTube might demonetize you or they might, you know, penalize you some way. I have never had a video demonetized for all of the shit that I do and say out here in the woods. All of the cussing, the drinking, the smoking. I've never had a video demonetized for any of that stuff. So, there's that. I mean, people claim that they do it, but they ain't done it to me yet. Maybe it's because I'm little. And Jess, the only reason that you're offended is because you can't find your fucking curling iron. Yeah, hunting is now, I admit, hunting is a different scenario. Whenever I'm hanging out at camp, and I'm only half a mile away from my truck, that's one thing. So, you know, hanging out here at camp where I'm in my little safe space, everything, it's a controlled environment, so drinking out here is nothing. But on a hunt, no, I'm not drinking anything except coffee. If I got a shotgun in my hand, I'm not going to be drunk while I'm doing it. That's a city boy mentality. But I was raised on guns. I got my first single shot 12 gauge whenever I was 8 years old. So whenever you're raised with them, I guess you just have a different level of respect for them. And there's no newness to it. It's boring. Guns to me are boring. Because they've been a part of my life my entire life. It's kind of like a beautiful woman, right? A beautiful woman doesn't think that she's beautiful because she's had to look at herself her entire fucking life. She's used to it. You see it and it's something new and shiny. Guns are the same as a beautiful woman. Anybody who hasn't seen a gun or hasn't actually owned a gun before, whenever they get one, they're all excited about it. But if you had a gun since you were fucking 8 years old, it don't matter what kind of new gun comes out, you really don't get all that excited about it unless you're a fucking fanatic. And there are some fanatics out there. To me, a gun is just another fucking tool. To them, it's, you know, they collect guns like my mom collects teddy bears. They collect so many fucking guns they can't even transport them all. Like, you see these guys, the prepper types, have this room full of guns. The weight that they have in those caches of guns, they would never be able to transport any of that shit anywhere. They're stuck there. Yeah, you might have a shit tons of guns in one location, but you ain't carrying more than 2 or 3 with you out of that fucking bunker to do anything with. You just can't carry it. So you defeat yourself that way. I don't know why they do it. It's just prick waving, I guess. They think the more guns they have, the more manly they are. And I'm a one-shot, one-kill kind of guy. I'll do as much damage with a single-shot shotgun as you do with an AR-15 any fucking day. But I'm not a gun guy anymore. When I go hunting, it's bow hunting because I like the challenge and I like that style of hunt. Whenever I was out shotgun season, whenever I go out, it's almost, you know, you just go out, you shoot a deer, you go home. That's just because of the area that I live in. Ohio is big whitetail population. I mean, it's easy to go out and shoot a deer with a shotgun. It's a lot more challenging to go out and shoot a deer with a bow, especially a compound bow. There's so many fucking things that can go wrong with a compound bow, and getting that arrow right, threading the needle, and getting a good clean kill. So there's a lot more challenge to it. So I'm a bow hunter now. You see me out hunting, I'll be out with a compound bow. You see me tomorrow night. If you guys tune into the stream tomorrow night, we're going to be streaming tomorrow night, probably around 8 o'clock. And I will be streaming from my house, and we'll be working with the compound bow tomorrow. So we won't be here at camp tomorrow. And that's just because I have to work from morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Settle in after work for the stream. And we'll be streaming from the house, and we'll be taking a look at my compound bow, adjusting the draw weight on it, and trying to we'll shoot a few arrows, see where our aim's at, see if we can sight that thing in a little bit better, because it is bow season right now. I could go get a deer tag right now and go bow hunting, but we're trying to get this project done first, and then we'll go to the bow hunt after we get this done. So plenty of time for bow hunting. Bow hunting goes from now until February, so plenty of time for bow hunting. Getting a little dark though, so we got to get back up on this to the work part. I got to get messy again. It won't take as long to finish this wall off. I'm hoping we have enough stone to do it. Next stone's going to be one piece. So I'm going to go back here to the back real quick, guys, and get the next vat of clay mixed up, throw it in the basket and bring it up, and then we'll get this done. We'll take a step back and look at the build, and then we'll see what our beams look like whenever we put them up on the structure and find out where our door is going to go, because I don't know where it's going to go just because of the way the wood is. Haven't picked up a bow in about 25 years. I just got a new one last year, so I'm excited to get out with it. I actually got the truck, for those of you who follow the channel, I got the truck all rigged up for deer season. We put a whitetail mural on the back window. We camoed out, Realtree camoed the inside of the truck. The whole dashboard's all camoed out now. All of the heater vents are camoed out. We got a shotgun shell, air freshener hanging from the rear view mirror, and we swapped out our antenna on the truck with an arrow, a spent arrow. So yeah, we got the truck all rigged up for hunting season. But yeah, give me a second here, guys. Actually, why don't you just come back with me? There ain't no point in you hanging out up here. I'll bring you back here with me so we can mix this up real quick, and then we'll come back up to the front and get this stone wall done before it gets dark on us. It seems to be getting darker out here for me a lot faster than it is for you guys. So here's the pit. We got the clay in there, but I got to mix it up right quick. Just throw some water in there, a bottle of water in there, crush it all up, and throw it there in the basket. We haul it up front, put it on the build. Before I haul that up front, I got more clay right there, and you can really see the sandy difference. You can see this here is the clay, and that's broken down blue shale. That's blue shale that's turned to clay. That's the glue part of our walls. And then the sandy stuff, the red sand, is the concrete part. So we have this real tacky blue shale clay that we break up in there, mixed with the sand, and you can see some of the fibrous material that's mixed in there for tensile strength, and we're building walls just like this right here. These are the two back walls. These are all cured up and starting to clean off now. So these are the two back walls that we built. This is our main fire reflector for the fireplace, which goes right here. And we'll be getting to that in the next phase. And you can see how rain and weathering is starting to clean the excess off of the stones. A little bit of cracking there, but that cracking ain't it's not affecting the wall any. That's just weathering. It's going to do that over and over and over again. If they get too big, then I just put a smear on there and patch it up. But the stones themselves, I encase the whole stone, and then the weather will clear them off. So we'll just mix this up here right quick, and then get that up, and we'll finish our wall off. Basically just a mud pit. Do need some more in there though. A little too much water and that makes it too thin. There we go. It's like kneading bread. That's pretty good. Throw some in our basket here. And we'll have a little excess for later, which we'll need for the casing, the outside shell. And that's just a kind of a rub down. This is kind of heavy, guys, so I'm gonna carry this up there, and then I'll come back and I'll grab y'all so we don't drop the iPhone while I'm trying to haul this up. Because once you mix the water with this clay, it is heavy as hell. Let me get this up there and I'll be right back. There we go. That was simple enough. Ooh, do need to move the iPhone over a little bit, getting a little bit of the tripod there at the side. That's annoying as shit for me. Get y'all down here right quick and turn you around. There we go. And we're back to building. So, as I said there, my next piece is going to be one piece. I got the stone that's the perfect length to go all the way across this. So I think we can get one more stone on there, another maybe 5 minutes, and this accent wall will be done. And that'll be our stone work on the structure for quite a while. Our next step is going to be a lot of wood processing. So this is kind of a big point in the build here. This is we got our back two walls done. We got our one accent wall done, the outside of it done yesterday. once we get this up, that's the stonework on the structure finished. Aside from bringing in some more accent blue shale, which will do our like front porch area with kind of a front step, and then we're going to have that blue path that we got leading up to the structure coming right up to the front door. The reason I haven't laid it yet is because of all the traffic and the work that I'm doing here. It would just tear that path up. So once things settle down in this area and it's not a workstation anymore, we can bring the path right up to the front door. That's actually pretty fucking good. Got a little bit of a gap there. I'm not too worried about. Made a smaller stone. Always really heavy around the beams. I got a squirrel over there throwing nuts at me. Guess I'm being too loud. You spend enough time out in the woods, you learn to hear things. You know what your normal sounds are. Right now, there's a few bird calls going on around me. They're sending off warning signals. Hey, Strung Out Outdoors, glad you could join us. And I got a squirrel throwing nuts down. That means there's something out there in the woods, probably a deer watching me. Something's moving through the woods, or something's causing those alarms to go off. So there's something out there right now that's making the wildlife act up a little bit. If anybody says it's a Sasquatch, I'm gonna kick your ass. Dixie would say it was a Sasquatch. Next layer. Jess, you were gonna say it was a Sasquatch? You need to focus on your hair. That was a little too wide. That was a little too small. That'll work. A little bit of a gap there. See, I know I'm getting close to the top now because I'm already starting to think about casing this front and rubbing in all of these creases and cracks that I can see. I'm already starting to do that subconsciously. Oh, we're close. Getting closer and closer. Yeah, that was too thin. I'm going through my puzzle pieces here, seeing which one will fit. Now, we'll have these up and curing, but this is not actually the final step in building the wall. We still got to do the inside yet, and that's really nothing. Once the wall's up, it's up. I mean, you get the idea. Wedge that nice and tight up against the beam, as always. That's pretty good. Keep that piece there and throw it there. Now, by next spring, even with me rubbing all of this extra clay on the outside of the stone, by next spring, with all of the rain that's going to come in over the fall, the snow, the ice, everything that this wall is going to go through, by next spring, all of the stone points will be exposed and pretty well cleaned off, so the clay will not hold up. That was a good one. The clay will not hold up on the exposed stone. It's going to wash off of the stone, but it will hold up in the creases in between, which is where it really matters. So next spring, whenever you look at the shelter, this is not going to look like a clay wall. It's going to look like a stone wall with just clay mortar. It will look a lot different come next spring, but the entire camp's going to look different come next spring. Now we're getting to our small pieces that I'm hoping I can fit in here. Oh, let's see. I'm looking at the stone that I have up here. Most of them's fairly larger pieces, and now I just gotta kind of piece together this last little point right here. Might have to go down and get some smaller stones or bust one of these up, because now we're down to one stone at a time. Hear another warning call coming out from the birds. We're close, guys. We're close to that top point. This does offer a lot of support to these side beams too. Alright, let's see. Get one more in there. And we gotta start our casing. I don't know if any of these will fit. That one might. Oh, we got lucky. Look. Let's cap it off. go my plane. Casing's easy tonight. It's just kind of smoothing right on there, nice and easy. Which is good because I'm running out of daylight. There we are, guys. I think that'll about do it. We got to get our, we'll take the excess that we have in the pit back there and put a nice base around it, kind of a footer. That'll offer a little bit of extra support and keep it from pulling away from the ground itself. So we take that excess, we put it down here at the very bottom of the wall, and our wall is done. Hey, Christopher. So I'm gonna run back there. I'll grab what's left in the pit. We'll go ahead and throw that down on the ground. We'll take it a step back and see what both accent walls look like on the build now. Be right back, guys. Had a little bit more back there in the back than I anticipated, almost a full basket full, so we'll just use that all around our base stones. Make sure that we got a good seal between that bottom stone and the ground itself, so we don't get no drafting coming up as the wall pulls away from the ground. Alright, just smoothing things out here a little bit. Want to make sure the seam between my wood beam and my stone wall is sealed in really well. And then I'll take the excess that's on my hands and start covering the beams and make sure the seam between the two logs is also filled in, so they're not just laying on top of each other. It's got that kind of gluing that goes around it too. And make sure all of our ties are covered in the clay too. They are not supporting anything anymore. The structure is supporting itself now, but having them on there is no big thing. All right. we got to go down there and get washed up, and as we're walking down, we'll get to see right here the two accent walls together for the first time. There we are. Now from this angle, one looks smaller than the other, but they're both about the same size. It's just the angle. But we got our two stone accent walls on the shoulder now. So now we're just gonna go down here, get cleaned up a little bit, and then we can put our logs up there and find out where our front door is gonna be. Oh, it's about break time too. One second here, guys. Man, that clay is really tacky. I even got clay on my iPhone screen, damn. Try to get that cleaned off right quick. There we go. All right, back up to camp. Getting darker, guys. A little bit darker. See what this looks like from down here. If I can get this thing to turn around, and my hands are wet now, it don't want to work. Had it, lost it. There we go. So here's the view from down at the bottom of the cliff. We did build our structure right on the edge of a damn cliff. It's looking pretty good up there though, right? Landscaping down here, trying to prevent erosion, preserving the ferns and all the exposed tree roots, things like that. Our pathway going up is starting to get dark, so it's starting to light up a little bit. Two stone walls. And looking at it, I guess one is a little bit wider than the other, but not by too much. We didn't want anything uniform. It ain't uniform. There she is so far too. That second accent wall will look a little bit more like this one over here over the next couple of days as it starts drying up and weathering a little bit. And then we got the inside to do. We ain't gonna be doing that tonight. But she's sealing up good. I like it, I'm happy. And we had more stone than what we actually needed, so we can toss that extra stone off to the side there and use it on the fireplace and chimney. Oh, front yard looking pretty this time of night. You see the color starting to dull down a little bit though. Winter is coming. Boom, there we go, that's a bit better. A little bit different lighting there. So, our second accent wall is up and done. It'll take a good week for these two walls to secure and get as tight as we need them to get. Make some adjustments here. I'm gonna smoke my fucking first cigar. Time to bust out the second one. What do you guys think so far? Looking good? I like it. There's gonna be a tank of a shelter to be hanging out in the wintertime. Y'all are talking about gun stocks? I miss that kind of, I'm here working, y'all are talking about all the fun stuff. Oh, another stone. Man, I'm a muddy fucking mess. I even got mud on my Backwoods Badass t-shirt. Can't be afraid to get dirty. She looking good, ain't it? Gotta smoke me a Backwoods bourbon cigar, get rid of the mosquitoes. That sounds like a reasonable justification. Happy with the build so far. Cheers, guys. So we're gonna settle in here for a second, hang out and chat. Well, I enjoy some of this cigar before I start moving them heavy ass fucking logs over there up to the structure to find out where the front door is gonna be, because that is a complete mystery to me. I don't know. I have to match the length of the wood up to the structure. I purposely cut them at different lengths for that reason. I want the door offset from the center a little bit. So we're going to get them up there, find out where the door will be, and that will give us an idea how much wood we need to process to close in the front of the structure. Once we get all of that wood in, then we can bring in the last few pieces that go right up to the eaves right there, because they pinch together. I cannot put those last few pieces on the roof until I have the walls fitted in there, and then I just chink up the top of it to waterproof it. Need a mule? You know, it wasn't yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday's stream. Day before yesterday, we went on a hike at the beginning of the live stream. We hiked back to the back of the woods and did some exploring. And on the way back up, I uncovered a giant rose quartz crystal in the creek. And I've been trying to think of how to get that damn thing up here to the camp, because I have an idea for it. But it's got to weigh a ton, and I don't know how to move it. I had somebody suggest in the live stream that I should bring out a cart with an inflatable wheel to throw it in and move it up here, but I don't want to do that. I want to do it with whatever is here. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. We put a lot of work into this. This is a community project. We're all in this one together. But yeah, she's looking good. I'll be glad to have the wood processing done. Once the wood processing is done, we have that back wall done. That triangle that you see back there in the back, that's wood. That's beams that go across here. So I got to get those beams cut, and before we can put the chimney on, attach the chimney to the back of that. So yeah, I got a lot of wood processing to do next. So the next steps of the build is getting the front wall closed in, the door framed out, and that back triangle closed in with wood beams, so we can build our fireplace and chimney, and we have ourselves a cottage. And then after that, it's a lot of just accent work. There'll be some forest floor added to the bottom portion of the shelter up to the beam, so we kind of get greenery growing right on the shelter. I'm hoping, and at least get some mosses and fungus or maybe even some grasses growing right on the bottom of the shelter. It offers us a bit of a windbreak at the lower well. And then we have plenty of material up in the peaks and in the eaves to make a heat dome. So by the time we get done with this, the shelter is going to be damn near airtight. We do have to leave vents up at the top, and that's just for whatever smoke comes in from the fireplace and carbon monoxide. You know, you want to have fresh air going across the top. Was that you, Jefferson? Uh, it was actually a good idea. You know, I actually considered it for about 30 seconds, like, hey, that's a good idea, but I don't have a cart. Maybe I could build one, a Bushcraft wheelbarrow. I ain't seen that done yet. Come out here and make a wheel out of a wedge of log, run a hole through it, and a pin to where it spins, the round of wood spins, have a wooden wheel on it, and then use a half cut out tree trunk for the barrel itself. Put a couple of limbs on there for the handles. The damn thing is tying it all together. You'd have to tie take a piece of paracord and make a V with the two branches. Put a quarter round of log in there for the barrel itself, and then make a wooden wheel. Bushcraft wheelbarrow came up here right here on the live stream. Suppose it could be done. Yeah, I will be glad to get all the wood processing done. I do have a lot of wood around here that I can cut up. Easy to get to wood. Good seasoned wood too, so the front of our structure is not going to be anything that's a lot like weather worn or anything like that. Some of the stuff that we put up there on that roof is questionable, but I think it'll hold up all right, especially once it's covered in clay. A lot of the detail work that gets done to the structure will not be done on a live stream series. We're just doing the build itself now. Whenever it comes to making it airtight and doing all the fine detail work, we might hang out on a live stream and I can explain what I did during the day to kind of weatherproof it some. But as far as the build itself, getting the structure itself done, we have captured this build from the time we raised the first side of the A-frame up until this point, all on live streams. Every part, every stone, every slap of mud on this build has been captured in this live stream series. And we've been going on forever. There are a lot of hours on video of this live stream series. And what I'm going to do when it's all said and done is I'm going to make a time lapse. I'll download every fucking video, cut out the highlights, and we'll make a time lapse of putting this build up so everybody can see the build going up in the live stream series within about 3 or 4 minutes time lapse footage. So we'll just speed everything up so you can see the structure going from last winter until now. We're coming into winter, so building this structure has taken us all summer long, literally. But a lot of times we was only out here working on it 1 day a week too, so we drug it out on purpose for some of it. You see how dark it's getting now? As long as the light holds up on the camera, all right. And we'll start bust out the lantern, and I got a headlamp, and then we got the chandelier there inside the shelter that we can turn on. So let me go ahead, I suppose, and at least get these logs up there and find out where our front door is going to be. I'll do that right quick. Maybe, I don't know. Need to turn them around. Alright guys, so I want to show you what I'm looking at here real quick. I don't know if I'm gonna, the diameter of these is so damn big. I don't know if I'm gonna have it, the top on the inside of the frame or on the out. I think that would work. I think I could chink it up enough to where that would be the doorway, and then we just run small beams across one side and a little bit longer going all the way up on the other. I'm not sure. But here, I'll show you this right quick so you can actually see what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm looking at. Now I can cut these down a little bit more to have them, I could actually cut them at an angle to have them meet the peak right there. And but this is the challenge that I'm looking at as far as sealing the door frame up. I could cover, you know, tie it off here and just cover the frame itself in. I could do that. So the beams for the roof would just come down over top of the frame for the door, and the frame would be inset. The other option is to bring it out and have the door frame outside of the shelter, just strapped on there. We do have that big ass stone down there, which makes great level foundation for it. And I kind of want to keep it like that, at least in that area. We can move it over a few inches one way or another to make it wider or thinner. This one here, this side here is obviously going to need to be cut down a few more inches, but that ain't a big problem. It's just hacking that little knot there off, and then I can use that extra piece and turn it into a piece of firewood. Just split it down because that's good wood, damn good wood. So that would be the general location for the frame. Like I said, we would just have shorter pieces right here and a little bit longer going up on this side, and it's just offset enough the way that I want it. And then you keep seeing me moving this stick around over here. This crooked stick is the accent top for the door. That's all that is. I just got to cut that down to length once the door is in there, and that's just the accent piece that goes across the top of the door. I wanted a crooked stick for that. So that might work right there. We just got to take that one side down a little bit, and it'll take me about maybe 15-20 minutes to cut through that fucking wood, because that's red oak, and it's a pain in the ass to cut through. I want to take a vision of it. Here, let me back up some. We got to keep getting further and further back because the damn thing's so big. What I can do later on is I could take this still frame right here from the live stream. I can capture this still frame, and then I can sit and think about it while I'm at the house of exactly how I want to do that. But that would pretty much be where the front door would be, aside from taking that one down a little bit. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Just take the axe and notch them out, and then fit them right in there like Lincoln logs. I'll tell you what, David, I don't have a P.O. box, but if you want to message me, my email is on the about section of the channel. So you can go to the about section of the channel. You can see all of my social media links there, and my email address is there. So just send me an email and we can talk privately in my email. Anybody there, you know, wants to send me an email and give me some thoughts, commentary, feedback, anything like that, or if you have any questions that you don't want to ask on the channel or on the, you know, in a public forum, feel free to send me an email anytime. I'll usually get back to you within a day. So that's the best way to contact me, is just go to my email. It's huntsmanbushcraft@gmail.com. So yeah, I could take that still frame right there, and you know, I have a couple of deer skulls around the house that I might be able to bring out and do that with. Once we get the front door built, that would be an awesome idea. I like that idea. We actually had a deer that we found dead on the other side of the creek, and her skull's over there somewhere. All of her bones are over there somewhere. I've been waiting for fall to come around and that thicket patch to kind of calm down a little bit where I can actually see the ground, and then we'll go over there and see if we can hunt us up some bone. I think that'd be a cool deal. It's getting dark now, guys. If we want to take a walk around before it gets too dark, we can do that right quick. We might as well explore a little bit. So we'll take a little hike around camp here and look around just as a break. And you don't need to watch me while we're doing it. What I will do here real quick, because this is annoying the shit out of me, is I'm going to move the camera over just a little bit right there where the tripod is not in the picture. So you see my stack right there. I got my flask, my wine, my trail mix, all that. I always keep that in one little area. I always keep that in that little cooking area, so all of my gear, everything is right there in one spot, and I don't have to hunt all over my camp, and I don't lose any gear when I'm trying to get out here after dark. We're going to take a little walk here real quick. We're just going to walk around camp and check some things out, just look around, and kind of break up the monotony of building a little bit before it gets dark. Well, I mean, it's beautiful out here right now. We might as well take a look at it. See how the pathway lights up a little bit? Perfect reflective surface for a headlamp when you're trying to hike out. Let's get up a little bit higher there. There we go. That's better. Let's see how our... Oh, shit. Started buffering there again. Forgot my box. Alright, now we're cool. We should go. You can see how our lichens and everything are starting to light up here at night. That kind of light, that little splash of color makes all the difference out here when it gets all dark and dreary. Of course, it ain't gonna be dark and dreary very much longer because we're gonna have snow laying everywhere. Go hike up here and go down the creek a little ways. I know where I want to take y'all. We're gonna go for just a little bit of walk right behind camp. There's our build. The S word. There we go. Had to climb up the bank there right quick. I want to show you guys something that we don't get to see all too often from this side. Ooh, it's getting dark out here, but I love this time of day. Yeah, it is dark as shit. Let me see if I can brighten that up for you a little bit. That didn't work much. Man, our area stays a lot brighter than the other side of the creek. Let me tell you. A little dark right here, guys, but it might lighten up here in a second once we get back here where I want to show you. Yeah, about it was last winter. There was a guy that was a city fella that was high. He got drunk at a party, and rather than driving home, he decided to walk home. And he thought taking a shortcut through the woods was a good idea. Well, it turned out it wasn't such a good idea because he tripped over a log while he was out there, middle of winter, and he got stuck in the snow, almost froze to death. Man, that is dark, dark. This is the waterfall that's right behind the camp. But it's so damn dark you can't see it. We're gonna have to get back up there and get our lights turned on. See the difference between the rest of the forest and that little section up there where we have our build at? It stays a lot brighter up there. We're gonna try to go down the bank right here, across the creek, and we'll go up that stone wall over there. Huntsman sliding around the forest in the dark. Here we go again. I don't even have my light with me. Oh, we gotta do some climbing here. Now we're back up where we can see something. Man, the forest over there is dark as shit. And then we have this big old opening in the canopy right here where we can actually see something. And we back up to home sweet home. Well, I was going to show you all the waterfall. We should have left a little bit earlier. Might actually been able to see the damn thing. Oh, it's dark. It's a little bit better when I have some of the sky in there. It lightens the frame up a little bit. That's not so bad. Whoa, so 2 accent walls and a rough idea where the door is going to be. All we got to do is fill in the front part there and then design our front door. I do like the idea you guys brought up about notching those beams and just fitting them right into the A-frame itself. That'll give that door frame a lot of stability. Then we just put a cross beam at the top as an accent piece and a little bit more cross stability. I think that'll be a good idea. That might be our best bet. Let's go ahead and turn the chandelier on and see what that looks like. Oh. So there, we got our light inside the shelter on. You can see how it reflects off that floor pretty good. And the whole thing lights up with just a simple lamp. And that's not even the brightest lamp that I got. Ooh. It's getting a little cooler out here, guys. I'm gonna have to put my hoodie on. I was expecting a cool night, so I did remember to bring my hoodie. I got maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 more days of wood processing where I get out here and cut up everything to length, because I got to kind of hold it up to the build and mark it and then cut it, and that's a lot of back and forth between the build and the workstation. And then we just fit it all together to put it up. And right now we got so much of the build done that everything else is just kind of link and lock in there, aside from that back triangle. And I have an idea to get that back triangle nice and secure too, so that won't be too much trouble. We've been going for quite a while now, guys. If you want to get anybody new in here, go ahead and share this out one more time on Twitter, Facebook. People who are logged on after they got off of work and got home and settled in might come and join in. Let them know that the live stream is happening. I'll go ahead here real quick. It's going to pause the stream while I do this, but I'll go ahead here right quick and try to share this out on my Twitter one more time, if I can. And anyway, trying to share it. There we go. There we go. Get that up. I had to adjust the tweet a little bit because if you share this out on Twitter and you try to do it twice, it says you've already shared that tweet. So I had to make a tweak there so it was a different tweet. Yeah, I've done that too. Usually, like whenever I did all of the beams, I just had one beam cut to the length of the A-frame, and then I left that one beam at my workstation, and I just lined the others up with that one beam and cut it like that. So everything was cut the same length, just because I had that one beam as sort of a template to go by. But yeah, I've used string and knots and string to mark lengths before too. And whenever I cut these two beams, I actually used my body. I walked up to the shelter and I marked where the frame was at on my body, and then I laid down beside the log and marked where it should have been cut at, and I used myself as a measuring stick for those two beams for the door. And then I just cut that one a little bit shorter on purpose. So that's how I measured that out. It was really rough, ad-lib sort of thing. Something zoomed in too far? That's weird. Is it better now? What are you guys seeing now? Because what you're seeing is obviously not what I'm seeing. Somebody tell me what's happening. Are we good? You see a black screen? That's weird. Because what I see on my side, the stream restarted. Just a black picture? Maybe. One second here, guys. That better? Still just a black picture? The stream stopped and restarted there for a second. Did anybody try refreshing? All right, hold on a second. Let me see if I can restart the stream. Something might have happened on YouTube side. I could see everything on my side. On my screen, I see everything. So let me see if I can make a tweak here real quick, and we'll get things up and running again. There, I tried to restart it. Did it pick up back up yet? Was that our third technical difficulty for the evening? Yeah, I stopped the feed on purpose. There I am. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties of live stream in the middle of fucking nowhere. Happens. I did bust out the lantern, and we got the light in the back, so hopefully that gives us enough light to go on for a little while here. Whew. Right now it's just relaxing time. I think we did enough work for the day. We're just hanging out here at camp now, enjoying the quiet. The frogs and everything starting to pick up all those night sounds of the forest. I can hear crickets and frogs all over the place. So before it gets too dark here, it's still twilight on my end. I'm gonna go ahead and gather up my gear, make sure everything's in my backpack and accounted for. That way I don't have to go try hunting for it at night. Glad you can see me, Rich. I am a handsome young man. I wouldn't want you to miss it. Ugh. Like I said, guys, I'm just rounding up my gear here, making sure everything's in my backpack and accounted for. That way I don't try to find it in the dark. We got to keep everything together here. I do need to find, I got another cable here that I got MIA. Where did I put it? I might have dropped it in my back foot. Oh, yeah, I found them. See, I put everything in my backpack trying to account for it, and I didn't account for it before I put it in my backpack. I didn't know where it was at. We're going to need those, so I'll keep them right on the tripod. Again, guys, I am out here right now with nothing but the lantern and the light that stays inside the shelter there. Take it back and recharge it every once in a while, but I don't have any survival gear with me. I don't have any of your overcrowded pack, anything like that. I got a knife, axe, and salt in my backpack and the lights to film with. That's it. So we out here in the dark with no survival gear, really. And I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. I don't need a bag full of gear to bring out with me every time. I do need to bring a full pouch of backwoods bourbon cigars because I'm on my last one. We're gonna go up in the shelter here for a minute. I'm gonna show you guys some things going on the inside. Yeah, I stop every once in a while I'm out in the woods. No matter what I'm doing out in the woods, I like to have all my gear in one spot. And I stop every once in a while, and I do go through, even if I'm only carrying a few pieces with me, I do go through my gear, make sure that everything's accounted for, and then repack or reorganize everything. Try to keep everything organized so I don't lose it or anything while I'm out here. God knows I don't have enough money to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. So we're going to take everything up inside the shelter so I can show you guys some stuff that's going on inside the shelter right now. And things that we're going to have to work on in the future. We got the outside accent walls done. but we still got to do the inside of those walls. So we're going to look at the inside so you can guys see the state of it on the inside. Just let me get this stuff moved up in there, and we'll move it up. You build a bushcraft shelter, you might as well hang out inside the shelter. And this is what's happening inside the shelter that we still need to work on. So these are, let me light this up for you. This is the inside wall that still needs to be cased. So you see that nice smooth outside. We want to let this dry up for a couple of days, so when we put wet clay on there, it has something to lock into. It's kind of like a Lincoln lock system, key and lock system. So that'll dry up just a little bit, get to the right texture, and then we got to encase the whole inside of these walls too. So this is the raw stone still exposed on the inside of the walls. We won't be covering that too much on the live streams because that's just detail work. Having the outside done is what mattered. And this over here is the section that we just put up here tonight. So yeah, we got to smooth those out and make them look pretty, and that'll be the end of that. And then on up here, I started doing this. Whoa, a little tilty. I started doing this one live stream. You see how I'm leveling off the beam going across there, and that's just to turn that into shelving space so I can set my lantern up there like that, or whatever I have. I can set it right there on that shelf inside of the building as part of the build itself. So that don't need to be in here, that's garbage. So we are turning these inside beams into inside shelving. And then there's the inside of the walls that we did a couple weeks back. They're holding up really well. And all of our beams and everything on the ceiling is doing pretty good. And then we have our chandelier up there with a bit of the plant material that we have right there capping off the top, hanging down. We'll cut that out and tuck it up in there whenever we start putting our clay chinking in between all of these beams. So that's all of that, guys. The shelter has been a long working process, but we're getting there. We almost done with it. I'm comfortable here, and I'm ready to hang out here in the winter time. I mean, we have a stone floor. We have 2 bouncing fire reflective walls. The thing is a tank. It's gonna be fun just hanging out here with no work to do. I can't wait for those days. All we gotta do is keep the house clean. But we got a few more weeks of work here, as far as just closing it all in, which is maybe 4 foot of length in the front, and that triangle there on that wall. The rest of this back wall is stone, but we got to build a firebox for the fireplace, and we have to have an angle stone that we're going to be cutting out ourselves. We're going to be forming that stone ourselves. So the top of the fireplace has a slight pitch to it, so the smoke rolls up out the chimney instead of rolling into the structure. And we got to think of the vents at the top of the structure that'll help vent any smoke that does come inside and cut down carbon monoxide, things like that, all those gases that come out of the wood whenever it's burning in the fireplace. You don't want that building up inside your structure, especially if most of your structure is airtight. You have to have a vent in there. Now, all those things will be considered as we continue on. Making some good progress tonight, though. I'm glad to have the stonework part of this build done, and it'll be easy coming out here cutting the wood for the rest of the walls. I do think I will go with that idea that was suggested there about notching these beams and just fitting them into the Thank you, Jess. Really appreciate you hanging out with me. It was an awesome time hanging out with you, always is. Have a good night. Be safe out there. I'll see you next time. notching the frame of the door into the build itself. So we got the beams up there. If we just notch those in right there at the top and then close that off, I think that's a pretty good idea. It'll give us that stability there at the top, which is key. We'll put a good footer on them. We'll put a clay footer at the base of them, which kind of gives them something, a foothold there. And then a cross beam going across it as a decorative piece, but also as that extra little bit of stability. I think that'll work out pretty good up there. And then it's just a matter of designing the door itself, which I don't know how I'm going to do just yet. And I'm thinking whenever this section of wall over here, between the door frame and the side of the structure, I want to put a window in there. And I can have that window covered up with bark or grass or something like that to cut down wind. But I do want a window in the structure to let in natural light. Morning light will come in through there. Of course, we can have the door open, but I could always have the door closed, especially in the summertime, have the door closed and have that window propped open, let some fresh air in here on the summer nights. I don't think that would be a bad idea. And just have like a grass, thatched grass panel, or something framed out where we can open and close the window, or even make shutters out of bark. Might do that, as long as we can come up with a hinge mechanism that would actually work. Lots of things that we could do to the build after we get the thing closed in, and then it's just detailing. We'll be building a raised bed in here along one wall, and then our other walls for storage and firewood. And then we'll be getting into things like, well, it'll probably be next summer. We might be getting into things like crafting up a table and a chair and shit like that. That could be small enough to come in and used on the inside of the shelter, but also used on the outside of the shelter. I also want to build a clay oven. So I have a clay oven on the outside of the shelter, so I have an oven to cook in, and then I have a fireplace on the inside to use as kind of like a barbecue grill. The clay oven that we'll be building, the design is from the 1800s, and it looks a lot like an igloo. It's a big clay dome, and then it's got a little bit of a chute. That's the opening of the oven, so you can stuff your coals in there, get it all nice and hot, and then you just use it like a conventional oven. We're going to have one of those right out on the outside of the structure. We'll have a stone platform out there. We'll build the clay oven on a stone platform so we can cook outside of the build. In the summertime, we don't want to build up all that heat on the inside. And then we'll have a grill that goes across our fireplace. We'll actually have the stones of the fireplace. When I'm building the stone box, I'll have like ledges, stones that point out that'll hold that grill at the top, so I can slide a grill in there and cook on that, or I can have an arm that swings in and out of the fireplace to hang a pot on. So we're going to kind of make the fireplace a sort of a kitchen area too. And we might even be putting in a shelf on this beam here. So we got a wood beam here that we can work with, this cross beam here. It's going to be exposed on this side. It'll have a stone plate right underneath it to protect it from heat. But we can use this to mount a shelf on or something like that. And then we have shelving, and then we have our whole cooking space right there around the fireplace. We'll have our firewood right over here in the corner next to the stone wall, so we have a ready supply of firewood to go for cooking or getting warm, or just having firelight inside the structure. And it's all ready to go. It's pre-processed and ready to go. Yeah, the bed that I'm going to be making is not fancy, and it's not very high up off the ground. I'm just framing it out, and then I put enough. It's basically what I would build inside here is basically a debris type bed, but I can use the long stalks, like these long stalks here. I can thatch those together to make kind of a mattress pad out of. So we have the debris under this, but then we have this all thatched together to where that debris is just underneath there, and you're basically making a mattress out of debris, but it's clean because you have all of these stalks going across there that you just lay down on or throw your bedroll down on. So yeah, it would be easy to move that because it would just be a wood frame. The frame would just be there to hold all of the debris in there, and then the grass blanket, I guess you could say, would go over top of that, and then your bedroll on top. So the bed's not a big deal. Most of the time when I'm out here, I just throw my roll out on the ground, or I have my hammock. In here, since we got a stone floor, the stone floor is going to reflect a lot of heat in the wintertime, but you don't want to be laying on stone either in the wintertime. So you have to have that bit of barrier between you and the floor itself, and that's just a little bit of debris. Level it out, have it framed, make it nice and neat with those stalks. Those stalks are filled with cellulose. They're really squishy. They got some bounce to them, so it would, you know, we're making our own bed pad there, and then just throw the blanket out on that, and then have the wool blanket to cover up with. I think that would be it, all I would need. And just the way the structure is itself, it's going to be toasty warm in this fucker, just having the fireplace going. That's just the way we designed it. Radiant heat's going to bounce back and forth between these two stone walls, off of the floor and off of all of that chinking that we have up there. It's going to be a heat box. So a small fireplace is all we really need to heat this thing up with. And we're already seasoning the wood to do that with, and have clean fires burning. Don't want a lot of wet wood where you get a lot of steam and a lot of those gases coming out of the wood. Good, solid, pre-dried wood, seasoned wood is what I want to burn in here. It's going to burn hot. It might burn a little bit faster because it is seasoned and dried out. It's been stored here inside the shelter for, you know, almost an entire year. So it might burn a little bit faster, and then I have to go out and gather wood to keep feeding that fire. That's something to consider. I can also bring in other things to heat the shelter with. I have access to Scottish peat, so I can have a peat fire where I just bring out a peat block. Peat burns a lot longer than wood, and it has a very unique smell to it. Anybody that's ever been around a peat fire, you know. But peat burns for a long time, a lot longer than wood, and having a peat block you just throw in there at night, that'll keep your fire going overnight, and you don't have to tend to it. Really, you'll have a hot coal whenever you get out because it smolders more than it burns, and it still puts out a lot of BTU, so that's always good. Whew. I'm just like nibbling on trail mix and drinking beer now. Like, I'm really not doing anything entertaining. Talking about the future of what we can do here. Possibilities are still limitless with a build like this. You know, we can go on and on and on with little tweaks and things like that to make the structure a little bit better. All the time, always trying to improve what we can create from the forest itself. It's not about going out and purchasing gear, or going out and purchasing this and purchasing that and bringing it out here. It's what can we invent with the materials that we have. And I think that's the survival mentality that we kind of themed this one after. Of course, we didn't really get into that topic too much, the survival instinct. There's that dependency on the market, that dependency on gear, and that limits your creativity. Whenever I come out here, I can look at the forest and envision a lot of different things. A lot of things that are useful, and a lot of things that are just psychological things that help keep me in a good mood, or keep me motivated, keep my imagination going, where I stay focused on what I'm doing. The bagel maker, I am honestly thinking about putting the bagel maker right over there in that dark corner where I shit. Fucking Bushcraft bagel. You know, it's going to be a highlight of the Huntsman channel. That'll be the day that my channel goes over, whenever I come out to my camp and I have all of these little Ziploc bags that I get out of my Hidden Woodsman day ruck, and I lay it all out, and I go through this whole 15-minute wood processing scene where I'm making feather sticks and I'm gathering up all my tinder and everything, and then I roll out my little ass pad to set on the log before I sit down on the log, because I don't want my ass hurting. And I have my Ziploc bags all laid out, and I got a pre-cut onion in there, and I got some meat in there, and I got some cheese in there, and I got a bagel in there, and I bust out my titanium cookware set that I got from Heavy Cover because they wanted me to pitch their product for them. And I fixed myself up the most amazing, spectacular Chef Ramsay level Bushcraft breakfast bagel that is going to make Joe Robinette shit himself whenever he sees it. Whenever Joe Robinette sees me roll out a video where I come out to my camp with my Ziploc baggies and my Heavy Cover gear and I make a Bushcraft bagel, he's going to quit YouTube. Ugh. We're going to be moving, guys. And there's a reason for that. We gotta go dark real quick. Alright guys, your screen did not go black this time. I purposely turned out my lights. And the reason I turned out my lights is because while I was talking there and making jokes, something is moving out there in the woods. I heard footsteps. And it's probably a deer. But I need my eyes to adjust real quick to the night. I got just enough twilight in the sky where I can make out shadows. I'm still inside the build, but whatever moved out there was fairly big. It was on the other side of the creek in the thicket patch. Might have been a deer coming down the ridge line. My eyes adjusted to the dark pretty well here, and I'm not quite seeing anything, but I know there's something out there because I heard it. Might be a Sasquatch. You guys hear the forest sounds? Yes, I don't quite know what's out there, but I know there's something out there moving around. I'll be right back. Let me grab my pack real quick. Oh, everything inside. Actually, got to put you guys back on life support. We done and ran through our second battery. You're going on a treasure hunt. Oh, I did bring some jute twine out here to leave out here at the build. I'm gonna put it over there with my firewood. I just found it in my pack. Usually I keep 2 rolls in my pack. I keep one at camp and one in my pack, just in case the one at camp gets damp. But the way this shelter's going, it ain't gonna get damp anytime soon, so I really don't worry about it too much. Packing it up in case I have to move out, guys. Get you hooked up here real quick so we don't run out of battery life. And then all my gear's together for the hike out. We do have plenty of battery to keep going though. We have been going for a while, but it's dark now. There ain't too much to see out there unless y'all want to go on a night hike. I could try to light it up with the headlamp. I do have my headlamp with me too. That's for the walk out. I like being hands-free when I walk out. Other times I just take my lantern here and I hook it to my belt and use it like that. That's not too bad. It tends to blind you though. It's a bright little sumbitch. Alright, all the gear's together. The lights are readily available for the hike out, which we do have to go down the creek to do that. I got half a can of beer left, a flask of wine, a pack of smokes, no survival gear. We're just hanging out here at the old shelter for a little bit, enjoying the sounds of the forest here at night. I almost wish we had a fire going. We could sit around a campfire and tell stories. We could probably do that. We do have some firewood ready. Bushcraft bagel station. Gotta have that at your camp. As soon as Heavy Cover decides they want to work with me. You know, the problem I had with Heavy Cover didn't come from Heavy Cover themselves. I get using titanium as a lightweight material to build survival gear out of. It's a great idea because it saves on weight. And that's their selling point. It saves on weight. It's durable as shit. I mean, you can take that shit through World War III and it ain't gonna have a dent in it. Because it's fucking titanium. The problem that I had with Heavy Cover isn't the fact that they make stuff out of titanium or that they make crap equipment. They make excellent equipment. The problem that I ran into with Heavy Cover is I Googled the cost of an entire pound of titanium. Now, you know how much one of those canteens or one of the Heavy Cover cups or any of the Heavy Cover material costs, right? Google the cost of a pound of titanium. Then do all of the math and figure out how much of that pound is going into your canteen. And tell me how much they're marking up from production to sales. Because all they have to do is melt that down, throw it into a mold, and you got your fucking canteen, or you got your cup, or you got your spoon, fork, whatever they want to fucking mold out of titanium. The markup between their production and sales is absolutely fucking retarded insane. They're taking advantage of people. They had a brilliant idea. They use a cheap-ass material, and then they just mark it up 10,000 times, and people buy it for the logo, or they buy it because little Joey Robinette said so. That's the problem I had with Heavy Cover. I know that they aren't spending money on their materials, because a pound of titanium is cheap as fuck. It's like $15 a pound. So how can you justify taking this material that's like $15 a pound, and you're giving somebody a product made out of a few ounces of that and selling it to them for $350, $400 fucking dollars? How do you justify that? As any businessman or as an honest person, how do you justify taking something that only costs you pennies and selling it for hundreds of dollars? I don't get it. I mean, it's a good business model, but that's a example of greed coming into play. He might have been a good person when he started, but obviously he got fucking greedy, because that is just robbery. Suckers do buy it. And then, and before I started the Huntsman channel, I promoted my channel all over social media. Everybody knew that this series was coming long before I premiered my first video. I had my first 150 subscribers before I released a single video on YouTube. And that was just social media marketing. And I was getting in touch with Malcolm over at Hidden Woodsman. Malcolm said, whenever I was coming up with the idea for the channel, Malcolm said he'd support me all the way. And I was like, great. I was honored to have Malcolm at Hidden Woodsman support the idea behind the Huntsman channel. But I was in pre-development of the channel at the time. I got a hold of TA Outdoors. They said, yeah, man, we'll help you out all we can. I got a hold of, who else was out there? God, man, there was like 10 of them. And I got a hold of Joe, because I started, this whole idea came from Joe Robinette. He was the first bushcrafter I ever saw. So I get a hold of Joe, and I said, hey, Joe, I got, you know, TA Outdoors on my side. I got Malcolm over at Heavy Cover on my side. I got, you know, MCQ Bushcraft on my side, and they're all going to help me launch this new series. Do you want to join in? And Joe didn't say nothing. And I was like, all right, no big deal. And, you know, maybe he's busy. Maybe he's out on one of his trips and not checking email. Totally get it, right? So then I start researching. And I start looking into things. And I start looking at gear, because I'm going to start this bushcraft channel. And I see the price of bushcraft gear, bushcraft labeled gear. And I'm like, y'all gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, y'all are out there camping and doing shit that I've done all my life, and you're spending this kind of money to go do it? And that was the trigger, that was the key, that was the spin that I was going to put on all of it. So I'm running on Instagram, right? And I'm following Heavy Cover on Instagram. And that's where I went into the idea of, I see this $300 titanium canteen that Joe Robinette is pushing all the time. And I kind of wanted it. But then, for whatever fucking reason, I Googled, how much does a pound of titanium cost? And it was like 15 bucks. And I'm like, why would I spend $350 fucking dollars on 2 ounces of titanium when I could get a pound of it for 15 bucks? And it's just because of the mold and the logo that's put on there. Well, if I go out and I buy a pound of titanium and I melt that sumbitch down and I make me a fucking mold, I make my own goddamn canteen and call it a Huntsman Titanium Canteen Cup and sell it for $5. And that's just the cost of the shipping and handling to get the titanium to me, so I can mold it up for you guys. So I'm like, this stuff only costs you a few dollars in materials to make this stuff. Why are you charging people so much for it? They didn't answer. So I got pissed off. And I started saying, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do bushcrafting, and I'm going to do overnighters, and I'm going to go out into the wilderness, and I'm going to show you guys something you've never fucking seen before with no fucking gear at all. Because I can't afford to go out and buy the shit that you guys are going out there. And even if I could afford it, I ain't going to spend that kind of money on a fucking cup. So the series launches, and this tension builds between me and Joe. And the tension was just because, it wasn't because we didn't like each other, it was because of the business aspect of YouTube. He was already in bed. He already had a contract with Heavy Cover, so he couldn't say anything against them. He couldn't join me because it was going to affect his revenue. He couldn't say, yeah, go check out Huntsman's channel. He's going to show you something different. He couldn't say anything about me. To this day, Joe Robinette cannot say my fucking name out loud. He cannot mention my channel in any of his videos because he knows it's going to affect his revenue stream. He knows it puts his contracts at risk, because I'm out here saying you do not need to buy Heavy Cover. You do not need to buy Hidden Woodsman. And if you do go out and buy that stuff, props to you. I hope you enjoy it, but it will not help you get over on YouTube and make you as popular as little Joey. It's not going to happen. You can go out and buy all the expensive gear that all your little heroes are using, and it's not going to make your channel any more popular by what you're carrying with you. It doesn't work that way. Those companies went to them after they were already big. That's why they went to them. Heavy Cover was not going to work with Joe Robinette whenever he only had 100 subscribers. It wouldn't do him no good. Hidden Woodsman, Malcolm at Hidden Woodsman, that little fucking nerd, he's not going to send me a Hidden Woodsman Dayrock no matter how many subscribers I get, because Malcolm is aware of the fact that I think he's robbing people who are trying to get into this genre, who are trying to get into the outdoors, and their heroes, all of the people that inspire them, are basically saying you can't do it because you can't afford it. And I'm out here saying, yeah, you can. You don't need shit. I'm out here right now building this build with nothing. I don't have a company backing me. I did not get sponsored by Squarespace or anybody else paying me to come out here and do it. I get nothing out of this except hanging out with you guys. But I'm doing it, and we're doing a build that you've never seen anybody else fucking do before, with dollar store stuff, discount stuff, Christmas presents that I didn't even buy myself. The most expensive piece of gear that I got, I did not purchase. That's this. If I get it out of my shirt. This tiny ass little neck knife is the most expensive piece of outdoors gear that I got. And this shit is fucking ridiculous too. This is a Heli Mandra knife, developed by Les Stroud, and only like 10 people in the world make this fucking knife. There's 3 fucking inches of material there. It's laminated stainless steel. It cost them maybe 5 or 6 cents in electricity to produce this fucking knife. That's stamping out the blade, sharpening it up, and putting that little fucking bit of curly birch handle on it. And they're selling this fucking knife, this tiny ass little fucking knife, for $300. That's a $300+ knife, just because it's got Les Stroud's logo on it. Yes, it's a goddamn good knife. I use this knife more than I use any other knife because it's my everyday carry. I use it for my fucking lunches at work. I use it while I'm out here in the woods. But that little piece right there is $300 fucking, and it only cost them a few cents to make the fucking thing. That's marketing. That's what I have a problem with. I carry this because it was a gift by one of the girls that inspired me to start the channel. She sent it to me as a gift, all the way from Norway. So it's got sentimental value. I don't care how much shit costs on the market. I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy this knife just because I'm carrying it. Heli did not pay me to carry this knife in all of my videos or have it around my neck every fucking day. I carry this because a friend gave it to me. A supporter of the channel gave it to me. It has sentimental value just because it came from her. And that's it. And aside from that sentimental value, it has no value whatsoever. That's the thing, and that's the thing that I've been pitching since I started the channel, and I hate repeating it so much, but I always get new subscribers, I get new people watching the series, and you know, they got led the wrong way, because whenever they're searching for this genre, they're searching for YouTube videos, they're going to go to the one with the most views. They're going to go to the one with the most subscribers, because there's this mentality out there that your YouTube subscriber number is your resume. If you don't have 1 million subscribers, you're not as good. And that's bullshit. I don't know where that fucking mentality came from. It's like a popularity contest. The more subscribers you have, the more successful you are. No, you're not. The more subscribers you have, the more legit you are. No, you're not. Because it's just like my channel. Over 85% of my views come from unsubscribed viewers. And it's the same with Joe Robinette. He has over 1 million subscribers, but 999,000 of those fucking subscribers aren't watching his shit. They're dead accounts. Nobody even logs into that Google account anymore. So he can collect all the fucking subscriber numbers he wants. It doesn't make him more legit than anybody starting out today. It doesn't make him more legit than me. It doesn't make him more legit than somebody who thinks they're not as good as me. Anybody's as good as me, and nobody's better. And it's the same with all of you out there. Nobody is better or worse than you are. Don't ever think that. Don't ever think that there's this popularity contest going on out in the woods, because Mother Nature don't give a fuck how many YouTube subscribers you have. If you get yourself in a survival situation, your YouTube subscribers are not going to be able to help you. If I'm hiking out of the woods tonight and I break my leg and fall down in the creek, not a single person watching this live stream right now can do shit about it. So your YouTube subscribers don't mean nothing. Yes, it's great to have friends. Yes, it's great to be able to hang out and talk to people, to exchange ideas, to stay motivated with each other. But if you think having 1 million YouTube subscribers makes you something, it don't. Either you were something before you started, or you weren't anything at all. And whenever you get into this, that's what you find out. I see guys out there who are legitimately great guys, who want to help out anybody and everybody that they can. They put out videos every single fucking day. And I can tell you right now that their channels will never go anywhere. That they'll be stuck with a couple of thousand subscribers for years. And it's not because they aren't good guys. It's not because they aren't talented. It's because it's because their content's shit. Up here, guys, 1 second.